Greetings to all of you. My name is Vajiram Singh, and I am joined today here by PURURAJ Singh Solanki, who I think needs very little introduction now. He's got rank 21 in the Civil Services exam for 2023. He is on his way to Mussoorie, I think, another 2 months' time,
Yes.
2.5 months' time. And before I ask him anything, first I'll ask you to just share a little bit about your life. Where did you start from? How was your schooling? And when did you decide that you wanted to become a bureaucrat?
So I am from Jaipur and I completed my schooling from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Vidya Ashram. It's a prestigious institution in Jaipur. And after 12th, since I was a bit inclined in maths, I decided to pursue IIT examination and I got into IIT Bombay. I completed my chemical engineering from that institution. And it is here, sir, that in the company of various seniors and clubs like NSS, that I got to know about a deeper understanding about this examination, and I decided to pursue this. So even after taking a prestigious placement in my final year, I decided to drop that idea and decided to give this examination. And this was my second attempt, sir.
In your second attempt, and what was your experience in the first one?
So in the first one, I would say, a bit unprepared in some aspects of the syllabus, and particularly in the general study as well as in the chemistry portion, which is a technical optional, and it's a bit vast as compared to other optionals. But fortunately, I could able to maneuver my strategy and change it for the better in the second attempt.
Puraraj, this is a question that many students have. In fact, when we go for a class, students for any subject will usually come and ask, Sir, what is the strategy I should follow? So, if you compare your first and your second attempt,
Yes.
because you've been able to clear this exam very quickly, can you tell us what the difference between the two was? What did you identify and what changes did you bring in the strategy?
So first and foremost thing which I changed was that the answer writing techniques which I had not adequately developed in the first attempt, I gazed over the toppers copies for that year. And not only gazed, I tried to solve those questions beforehand, and then I used to see where I am lagging in front of that particular topper's answer script. This actually helped me to develop that competitive edge as to where I can use diagrams, where I can use flowcharts, etc. So first aspect is about answer writing. Second aspect is about my chemistry preparation. Actually, the chemistry subject requires a bit of practice and also a bit of theoretical understanding in the two papers. So the syllabus actually was not adequately covered by me in the first attempt, and I tried to cover it in the 3-4 grace months, which I should say October, November, and December for that year. So this was a boon for me in the second attempt, sir. And lastly, sir, about the ethics paper, I developed a different strategy. I tried to focus more on the case study aspect and the code related 3 questions which we get in the first section A, because I could find that I was able to write better examples and better administrative values in those particular questions. So I could identify my competitive edge and my strengths in the second attempt.
Puraj, how important is it to practice writing when you're preparing for the mains? To what extent do you think, genuinely, because students don't believe us, what do you think, how important is it?
So I believe that a common question arises as to when should we start writing? Is writing too many answers adequate? So I would say that we can start writing answers 4 to 5 months into preparation, provided that we read about that topic beforehand. And the knack of developing that 7 minute or the 11 to 12 minute marker in our minds, this will come in a prolonged period of time. It cannot come from the very beginning. So I believe that in order to improve our answers, we should first identify what exactly should we write, how should we structure our answer. In this direction, I should say that reading the topper's copy, not only reading, first solving them and then identifying where we are lagging is the most important aspect.
And when you were preparing, for example, for your optionals,
Yes.
how did you make a difference between the two attempts, specifically in the optional papers, other than syllabus coverage?
Yes. So if I talk a bit about my optional, the paper one comprises of a physical and inorganic chemistry, and paper 2 comprises of organic and spectroscopy. So it is believed that paper 2 is a bit more scoring based on my temperament, because I like organic chemistry much. However, I decided that paper 1, the paper 1 approach is continuously changing from the last 2-3 years, because earlier they used to ask very few questions from inorganic section, but now they are asking very much questions from this portion. And so I decided that in order to adequately prepare this portion, I will have to target the inorganic section as well. And specifically for the physical part, I tried to by heart the derivations, so much so that if you were asking me in the middle of the night as to derive this particular part, I would have been able to do it. Such has to be your level of dedication and the level of revision by writing the derivations multiple times, that you are able to write it adequately and within the specified period of time in the given examination format. So this was the thing that I changed in the second attempt, sir.
For students' sake, to put it in a simple manner, honestly, how many hours were you studying in a day? Many students try to quantify it.
Sir, I sincerely believe that quantifying should not matter in this examination, because in my personal case, I used to form daily targets. If I am able to meet those targets, I used to be a bit satisfied for that day. If I was not able to meet those targets, I would compensate for them in the next day. If you are specifically preparing for this examination and you are not doing anything else, I believe that hours will automatically come if you give the desired effort for this examination. So you do not run behind those 8 hours, 10 hours, or someone says 16 hours. And you simply give your effort. The hours will automatically improve as you approach the prelims or you approach the specific stage of mains or interview. And it will automatically take care of everything, provided you stay focused on your studies.
But then students say that, every now and then it's a very monotonous exam. It's a very exhaustive exam. It's a very boring exam sometimes. Whenever I feel that my enthusiasm is sort of breaking, my motivation is coming down, what would you do?
Yes, sir. Sir, it happened to me a couple of times, because I was studying in online mode entirely, and it was COVID time. So I only had my brother, and both my parents are working, so they did not spend very much time at home itself. So we used to play street cricket, terrace cricket, badminton in our free time, and it actually helped, because if we focus specifically on the interview part, they ask about a hobby section, and if you are able to develop a sincere hobby in the entire preparation journey, I believe that that hobby will actually help you to stay focused in the preparation, as well as spend time with your near and dear ones. So this actually helps.
And that reminds me, in the interview, you must have been one of the younger students who went there. Fresh out of college, you got an interview call, you reached there. What did they ask you there during the interview?
Sir, my interview was fortunately focused on more of situational questions. Around 60 to 70% of my time was spent on situational and opinion-based questions. And only one of the members was asking a very factual questions related to India's defense exports and etc. I was able to justify my choice of words and my choice of options in those particular opinion-based questions. And from it's actually very difficult to gauge as to what the honorable gentleman or the gentlewoman is thinking and what she gazes from my answer. But I believe that I answered them satisfactorily, and I was hoping that this might be the attempt that I gain a good rank, and God has finally heard me, sir.
That's true. Did you have a good feeling when you walked out of the interview room?
Yes, sir, I had a very pleasant feeling, sir, and I was feeling very satisfied with my performance, sir.
And you're expecting the same rank or something better, something worse?
Sir, as far as the rank is concerned, I was not very much in a position to predict something, and I'm not among those candidates who predict their mains scores in individual subject wise and then prepare an overall rank. They predict their rank. I just focus on the process, sir, and leave the rest to God. So with the blessings of my elders and my nanosa, I have been able to fulfill this dream, sir.
That's excellent.
Thanks.
And Puru, in the mains, in fact, let me start with the prelims ones. In the prelims, how was your CSAT? That's a problem for many students, and prelims are just about to come up.
Yes.
How well were you placed, and what would you advise to ensure that the CSAT remains consistent?
Sir, CSAT portion is increasingly becoming tougher as you have suggested. And if we see the 2023 paper, we see that the numerical part was especially lengthy. And those students who were not able to switch in a very judicious period of time from numerical to the comprehension part were actually losers in the long run, because they were not able to adequately cover the paper and were missing the cutoff by a meager margin of 1 to 2 marks. So as far as my personal case is concerned, I took that conscious shift from the numerical part to the comprehension part. And as I've explained in an earlier video as well, that I attempted 18 out of the 27 comprehension questions. So that helped me a lot, because only one of those questions was actually wrong in the final list.
Very good.
So this was a major booster in my marks. And as far as the first attempt is concerned, I was not very much prepared in that attempt. But based on the paper that year, I realized that I will have to give some effort in the next attempt if I have to give that. So before the second attempt, I practiced some numericals in the areas which I find difficult. For instance, the series and permutation combination. Even from being an IIT background, I realized early that I had to practice something, because this is a very tricky paper. And if I lose there, it will be a very heartbreaking moment for me, sir.
Correct.
Yes.
That is tragic. If you score well in GS and you fail to qualify CSAT, that would be heartbreaking.
Yes, sir.
And Puru, every year when people give the mains, paper 4 ethics, they are able to score well. Even if they score badly, they get 100 plus at least. GS paper 1, 2, 3, usually one paper turns out to be low scoring
Yes.
for almost every candidate. What should students do regarding that?
So for my personal case, I recall that in the first attempt, I scored only 77 in GS3. And this year in GS1, I got a score of only 85.
That's very low.
Yes, sir, it is. I believe that I did put in the desired effort and drew all the diagrams wherever applicable, the India maps of India in the world. But these small things did not actually make much difference. Probably because there was some lacking on my part, which I realize now. And maybe because some part of my preparation was actually devolved towards my chemistry preparation. Since we have only a limited number of hours to study, we do have to plan these things. If you have a very bulky optional, or if you have a very specified focus as to I have to score much higher in ethics this year or essay this year, some part of your preparation is somewhat compromised in the long run. So I believe that a balanced approach may be required in this scenario. And this comes from individual basis. For instance, if a student feels that his economy aspect is weak this year, he might have to spend a bit more time there. But in that way, he may have to compromise some time on his strong portion, maybe geography. And he may score a bit less in GS1. So these things happen, but we have to carry forward with this and learn from our mistakes.
So if you're losing marks somewhere, you compensate from some other area, some other
Yes,
subject.
sir, definitely.
Which brings me to the essay also. Lot of students, they study all year long. They are fairly well read. They write also well. Essays, how does a student prepare? For example, batches that are starting right now.
Yes.
What would you recommend students should do?
So I believe that the Vajiram and Ravi institution has already put up certain helpful videos on their YouTube channel, which have been prescribed by you as well. And these videos can be a good starting point to actually understand this paper, because I have seen that, and this has been true for my personal case as well, that I started the preparation of very late, right after the prelims. And I believe that 3 months is not actually very sustainable and very enough to complete this paper. So we need to start essay preparation from a very healthy stage, early stage. And regarding the coverage portion of essay syllabus, I believe that theme-wise coverage based on your own short notes. Short notes can be made from any material, be it sir's handouts or be it any diverse source that you follow. But your own material should be your light bearer in the long run, sir.
Correct.
This is what I feel, sir.
Puru, many students don't write. Essay and ethics fundamentally is based upon writing.
Yes.
They have the sort of a mental block where the first sentence they're not comfortable writing. What would you tell them? How would you encourage them to start writing?
So I think the encouragement should come from within at this stage and at this
Right.
prestigious examination, because they must realize that it is a complete 250 mark paper and it holds immense significance, because as you also have highlighted that with very small efforts it can yield drastic returns, sir. I believe, sir, that writing this maybe once in a month or maybe once in 2 months is even very much sufficient compared to someone who is not actually writing and is writing his first essay in the after
Correct.
prelims. So I believe if you are able to write an essay, maybe you're not following the time limit in the starting, but you please write it and get it reviewed from a diverse set of people, being it the teachers, being it your parents, being it your closed peer group. The reviews will be very much crucial for you to understand your obvious mistakes, and in the long run this will be very helpful to streamline your preparation.
And Puru, what are your plans now? Today is the beginning of June.
Yes, sir.
Now, what are your plans for your career, for your future? What do you intend to do?
Sir, I'm hopeful to join the services, but right now, since I have 2 months spare, should I say spare as such, but I am meeting my relatives and my well-wishers first, and I'm also exploring certain books which have been recommended by my seniors and my faculty members. However, sir, I also believe that this is a right time for me to actually develop a certain aptitude for this particular service, sir. And that is the reason why I am also intending to meet certain people in service with my father's association in the long run, and my nanosa who has retired from judicial services as well. So I will be meeting such people who have had a long association with the services, and this will somewhat help me to develop that kind of attitude for the civil services right now.
Puru, by the time, because you're joining at a very young age, I think you will be in the government till about 2060, maybe 2070. Next 30-35 years, we're going to see a lot of you in the government. Where do you want to retire? When you retire, what do you want to see in India? What do you think you want to do?
So it's probably a long shot at the moment, but I believe that right now we have an aim of Viksit Bharat by 2047, and I want to have that dream materialized in the future. I wish to make sure that the poverty aspect in our country is actually reduced to zero, irrespective of any discrepancies in data which we see in news here and there, and the inequality aspect which has consistently been increasing in India. If I am able to contribute in reducing these aspects, I will consider myself a good and a successful future civil servant, sir. And in whichever capacity I am, sir, I will be satisfied with my performance.
I'm sure that will happen. I'm sure that will happen.
Thank you, sir.
On that note, thank you very much
Thank you,
and
sir.
wish you the very best for your future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.